Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. I mean, it's time for another live stream, and today is Thursday, August 11th, 2022. Because it's a Thursday, it's happy hour. We made it to the end of the week, guys, and today I'm going to be trying out some beers from the local brewery. I've not made it to the local brewery yet, but they are available in six-pack form at my local liquor store. So that was really convenient. And man, they had a lot of different flavors. So I'm gonna be going through those. I got a lot listed on here. I'm probably gonna sample and not even, I won't finish any of them either because I gotta drive later today, which is a transition that I'm getting used to and living in the suburbs. In Chicago, it just didn't matter because we just walked everywhere. But now I gotta worry about if I'm gonna drive later. So I do have to do that later. So we'll take it easy, but we'll sample a few flavors. Before we get into that, let's say hi to everyone listening on the podcast and the audio-only version. This is going to be, if it's really hot and you're thirsty today on your long run, this is maybe not the episode to listen to, unless you can be like vicariously thirst quenched. Maybe that might help, but otherwise, maybe not today. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, hopefully it's a Thursday evening for you and you can enjoy a nice recovery beverage as well. All right, let's see what we got in the chat. We got Zabby Max. He says, I always question if I should be watching these because I'm under the drinking age, but I like talking about running and love Kafuzi's videos. Well, I will say, I'm assuming that you're an adult, but in that weird bubble period between being an adult and being able to drink legally. Or if you're not, maybe run it by your parents if you're not an adult, if you're worried about that. But I will say that, I'm hopefully not pushing people to drink. And I always encourage people, if you want to join happy hour, feel free to join with a recovery beverage of choice. We've done many happy hours with recovery. I mean, usually the thing that I do for happy hours is recovery beverages. That's like a nice way for me to test different recovery beverage products. But I thought since I moved to the new town, I try some, and in summertime I do like a refreshing drink. So I thought we'd give it a try here. So, but if it makes you feel uncomfortable, then maybe another one. And I apologize for that. But I'd like to think that I prefer the approach of making alcohol not be some sort of like secret forbidden thing for people who are underage. Not that I'm pushing it, but it's just a thing that people can enjoy when they are of the appropriate age. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit, Zappy. All right. Let's see who else we got. Casey A says, hey, Cone Co, checking in from the trails. Nice. With a wave emoji. Thought I heard you mention a trip to Boston coming up. Any plans for a shakeout run? Thanks. Oh, that's a good reminder. I will be going to Boston next Friday. I'll be there Friday. I leave early Monday morning. So basically Friday to Sunday for Falmouth. I don't know. Friday's a travel day. Saturday might be the day where it happens if it does. I have to double check with what the schedule is for the weekend, if there's going to be time for that. No one has mentioned anything about anything organized. So like, it won't be like a van tour stop or anything like that if there is anything, but like I'll probably run Saturday morning. I know the Believe in the Run crew will want to run Saturday morning. So like we're going to be running. So hopefully we'll have time to like do that with other people. So let me double check to see what the schedule is and I'll let you guys know as soon as I can. All right. Frank says he's got some yerba mate. I don't think I've ever had yerba mate before. And frankly, I think for a long time I thought yerba mate was a musical group. I didn't realize that it was a drink. But it is a drink. But I've never had it before. I don't know. I think during the pandemic I went down like a little bit of a foray into some of the other different kinds of beverages, like the different kombuchas and other similar genre of drinks. And I don't know. I feel like non-alcoholic beers and those get kind of like meshed in my mind. And I don't necessarily love any of those. They're good to have once in a while. But I did almost buy a bunch of Athletic Brewing. The big liquor store by me, I used to go to Vinny's in Chicago too, but there's a really big one out here. And they have a really good selection of Athletic Brewing, the non-alcoholic ones. And I'm like, oh, this is a good spot. Then I don't have to have it shipped to my house. Getting it shipped to me in Chicago was hard because I'd always end up losing a couple of cans in the shipping process. All right. Let's see what matters to Matt. It says, I made it to a live stream. Welcome, Matt. Good to have you here. Sean Devlin says, "Hey everyone." Oh my goodness, what was that? Sorry guys, I hit a cable and it freaked out. Sorry. Sean Devlin says, "Hey everyone, with a wave, easy 5 on the trails this morning. I'll take a back flip, please." Okay. Yeah, so here we go. Let's go over some of the flavors that we got here. And if any of them jump out to you that you go like are dying to see what they taste like, let me know. All right, here's the one is Hoptopus. This is the only one out of all the beers that I bought today that was sold in a 4-pack. It's an 8.5% Imperial Hazy IPA. Looks great, sounds great. It's probably the one that am least likely to enjoy. I never like it when it gets super like I feel like the Imperial IPAs get kind of like beer nerdy, and I tend to not like them as much. I don't know. Maybe I've been in the Midwest too long, but I don't know. Next one is Too Much Cologne. It's a German style Kolsch. Then here's some that are I feel like kind of like maybe this is where Crystal Lake Brewing started. Because it's like, very much a lake house vibe for this one. This is the Backflip. It's a Belgian wit beer. This is the one that I think I'm going to like the most. Another one is Rye India Pale Ale, Slalom King. Again, with like the kind of like the lakeside vibe. Wood paneling. What do they call these? Like the lifesaver ring thing. And then here's some other fun ones. This one here's where like I feel like this brewery has been in the Midwest for a long time. Not me, but the brewery, because it's like every time I go to a brewery that's not in like a super beer nerdy area, these are the kinds of beers that show up the most. An American Red, this is Fox Rocker. And then we've got this one, Ballpark Lager. If this one, it looks like it's like Cubs kind of like design on it. If this one doesn't taste like an old style, that's going to be a big disappointment. And then we got a German Pilsner. This one I'm pretty excited about. This better taste like a Schlitz. I do like Schlitz. I feel like it's an underrated beer, but I feel like ever since like PBR got real popular, that's when like the older beers got real trendy, and then like it got super hot, and then people were like, no, these beers aren't great. And I'm like, I don't know. Schlitz is not bad though, guys. So, all right. Matt LeGrand says, yo, go, what's going on? Nothing like getting trashed pre-lunch on a Thursday. Well, it is earlier for you than on the West Coast than it is for me. So this is after lunch for me. I did have some lunch today. So it's after lunch. Shannon says, I love hoppy beers, but prefer flight sizes because I get sick of the same taste for too much. That's the other thing about IPAs is I can have a couple. I guess that's a good thing, because then after a while it does get kind of like overwhelming, unless you have something to cut it, like some sort of food or something else to kind of mix in with the flavor. One Horsepower says the Kolsch or the German Pils are probably my favorite. So many Schlitz puns in here. Shannon says, let's get Schlitz. Stevie76 says Schlitz happens, and Eric says get Schlitz faced. Okay. Travis McCullough likes the old style. And then Matt Legrand says, well, since it is after 1 p.m. here in Chicago, it's totally reasonable. # judgment free zone. Nice. All right. Well, you know what? We've been talking about the Schlitz, so let's start with the Schlitz here. I'm just gonna say, I won't drink this whole thing. But cheers, guys. We made it to almost end of the week. Boom. I'm not getting focus. Focus. No. There we go. Focus. Cheers. It's tasty. Doesn't taste like a Schlitz. Schlitz-ish, but it's a good German Pilsner. Yeah. That's a good. That's a drinkable beer for sure. I remember one time I was at the microbrewery. I don't know what it's called, but there's a microbrewery in Manchester, Iowa. And we went there. I mean, I've been going there since the place opened. But one time I sat down in there and I was talking with one of the owners of the brewery, and going over the list of beers here, and I'm like, knowing that rural Iowa, Busch Lights do really well, Coors Light does really well, Michelob Ultra. Like if you're wondering like who still drinks Michelob Ultra, it's drank in Middle America. It's all over the place. So like I'm like, so what goes well? What does well here? And he goes, the lighter, the better. And I was like, what? Okay, for real? He's like, yeah. Every time I make something that's anything close to like a Bush Light, that sells out. Like I can't make it fast enough. And I'm like, so is that all you make? He's like, no, I like the beers that I like. He's like, I like IPAs, I like wheat beers. But like, I'm trying to like, you got to find the balance of like giving the people what they want and also like introducing them to new things. Since it's at the time he was like the only microbrewery in like a 40-mile radius, probably. Maybe not 40, like 25, 30-mile radius. I think 40 miles gets you from Manchester to Dubuque. So in Dubuque, I think there were some, but not a lot. Not a lot at the time. Oh yeah, Eric says Franklin Street Brewing in Iowa. Is that what I think it is? Franklin Street. Have you been? Have you been to Franklin Street Brewing? It's a nice little spot. Across the street, they just redid, like, I don't know how you redo a river or a creek, but they redid it in a way that people can drop in a kayak a little bit ahead of it, upstream, ride down some like, rapids. I won't call them rapids because Eric, you're in Colorado, but like, you could ride down and have a little bit of a fun bumpy ride and then jump out of the river and then walk your kayak back up and keep doing it over and over again. And the brewery now is like right at the base. So you can also like grab a growler and then walk across the street and watch people kayaking all day too. Yeah, it's a good spot. I like Franklin Street. Yeah, now there's another brewery, what is it called? Textile, that's in Dyersville, which is a lot closer to where we are in Iowa. That's a pretty good spot. They have some legit beers there too. But a lot of red beers, a lot of Kolsch, Pilsners, ice lagers, that kind of thing. So, yeah. Sam Kontansky says, take a shot of Malort for the next happy hour. Been forever since I had any. I don't think Malort's terrible. I've seen some people have tried to convince me that there are nicer Malorts. I think there's Malort and then there's bad Malort. I don't know. Maybe this is showing that I'm not originally from Chicago, but I don't know that there's any good Malorts. Like someone was trying to convince me like, oh no, you drink it neat, maybe like one large ice cube and you sip it. And I'm like, you go ahead. You can do that. Not me. Thanks. Lou Boy says, love my IPAs, but sometimes an ice cold Budweiser hits the spot being from St. Louis. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a time and place for everything, and the thing about that too is especially if it's the summertime and like you just want to be in a festive mood, you want something with a lower alcohol content. It's a little bit nicer to do it that way. One Horsepower says, I consult a beer bar as a side job and just beer for New York State, New York something. I'm in beer nerd denial though. I don't think that you could say you can't be in denial. If you consult a beer bar as a side job, One Horsepower, then that's not beer nerd denial. That is beer nerd. You're the beer nerd. You're like beer nerd, like master level 3. You're a high level master. Oh yeah. And Terry says, I've said it before. Growler does not translate well this side of the Atlantic. I forget what you guys said it means over there. I didn't know what that word didn't exist to me growing up on the East Coast. I encountered that word living in St. Louis was the first time. All right. I'm going to put this one down. This one's tasty, but I could sip on that all day. I might come back to it in a minute, but all right. Yeah. Shannon says she's never heard of Malort. Malort, what is it made out of? Wormwood? It's a distilled liquor that I don't think it's like distilled. There might be one local distillery that makes it now. I don't know why it became like the Chicago liquor. Maybe it is distilled locally, but it becomes this like thing. It's like, when you're tired of giving the people that come to visit you in Chicago deep dish, then you start giving them Malort. That's what you do. It's pretty funny. It's usually a pretty funny thing to give people. All right. Let's see. Adam wants to know if I'm a Busch or a Bud Light guy. I'm a Natty Light guy. So I went to college in St. Louis from 1997 to 2001. And at the time, Natural Light was on sale. You could buy a Natural Light for about $5 bill. Like you could be out the door, like you could go in with a $5 bill and leave with a 12-pack of Natural Light. So that's what we drank a lot of until Keystone Light started undercutting it. And that was like, man, I mean, talk about a coup, right? Like that going into St. Louis and undercutting the local beers. I mean, Keystone Light was amazing. That you could get for like bring your $5 bill and you'd get change back. So that was that. So like Natty Light was my beer, and then when I was like graduated from Natty Light, then we went to Bud Light. That's how we went. I never drank Busch Light until like after college, mainly in my Iowa days. That's when I got into Busch Light. Eric says that the Swedish tradition of there's a Swedish tradition of wormwood distillation. Come on, Kumfuzi. All right. Well, there's a large Swedish community in Chicago, so then that starts to make sense. Okay. Yeah. Shannon says, being from St. Louis, I wish I liked Budweiser, but the only thing I was not allowed to drink was Miller Lite. Yeah, no one drank Miller Lite ever. I don't think I ever saw like a Miller Lite in my time in St. Louis. Yeah, there was a time. Right now, like there was a time at Wrigley Field before like everything. At one point, like Old Style like became like the main beer that was sold at Wrigley Field. Before that, it was Miller Lite, and so like that would be like the only time I would ever have Miller Lite, like in college or even right after college, is if I was at the ballpark. But then I never did. But I mean, frankly, I'll tell you. Today, I prefer Miller Lite over Bud Light. I don't know. It tastes great and less filling. So, I don't know what to say anymore. I don't know who I am. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the next one. Club 400, Ballpark Lager. Let's see. Oh, Sean Devlin said, Meisterbrow was good back in the day. Oh, yeah, it was. It was funny because one of my good friends, his last name is Meister. And so we always thought it was like funny when he would show up with like 2 6-packs, like one in each hand. That was funny. All right. Hopefully this tastes like Old Style, because otherwise that's going to be pretty false advertising. But we'll try it. Cheers. Yeah, I mean, it actually tastes a little bit less cheap and a little bit sweeter than Old Style. This is an all-day drink. This is like a day drinking beer. This is a good one. It still has that like slightly metallic finish, which I very much associate with both Bud Light and Old Style. So yeah, this is good. This is a good one. I like this one a lot. I think this one could play well in Iowa. All right. Dave says, at Grandma's, how did you rate the post-race beer? The post-race beer situation was great there. A lot of like you have a ticket with your bib to get one free drink, and then very easy to get to purchase additional beverages if you wanted. And there was like options for wine drinkers, people that wanted a what are they, the Trulies or like those White Claws or something. I don't remember which one it was, but something in that family. And then a lot of like real beer options, as well as like, easy drinkable beers, kind of like this 400. Not that it's not a real beer, or a person that prefers it is not a real beer drinker. But I had an Alaska Brewing beer. I never had that before. It was really good. The only problem with Grandma's post-race is that it was really cold. Like I was shivering. Now I shiver after every race, even in the summer. And so that was something that I planned for. So I brought like a long sleeve, like a thin like rain layer, and then track pants. But I was still freezing cold. So like I think if I do Grandma's again, I'd probably bring even more layers for my race bag, just in case. So that way I can hang out a little bit longer. Shannon says wine after a race, hard pass. I think it's more for like the spectators and family that are there. So, I mean, I think there's all kinds. And, not for me, but I appreciate that the variety is there. In Eugene, there's like at all like the beer concessions, there was usually those like three options. I mean, in addition to like, there's usually like water and Gatorade at those two, or like some sort of like sport drink. But it was like you get beer, wine, and then what are those called again? Hard seltzers? Is that what they're calling them? Yeah. I want to call them malt. I keep wanting to call them malt beverages because they remind me of Zimas, but that's not, or raspberry, or like Smirnoff Ice. But like, I know that's not what they want to be called. So, whatever they're called, hard seltzers, I think. Calvin says, post race, give me water, then ice cold electrolyte drink, then maybe something carbonated. That's a pretty good order. I also don't mind if it's an ice cold like protein shake, which has been showing up at some races lately, which I like. It's a little bit scary because you're like, wait, are these milk-based protein drinks that have just been sitting in a bucket of coldish water for a couple hours? But a lot of times they're like, like they could be plant-based and stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay, I won't worry. But that I've done a couple of races where they've had that and just like have a bottle of water, slam the protein drink, and then you're to the post race. And it's pretty. I like that. Adam says beer is one of the last things that I want after a race. Give me water and sugar. I actually do really enjoy post run beers. I do want the water and sugar first, but then I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Like I was having a conversation with Connor because that Hoka event was at a golf course. Now we didn't run through the golf course, but like we staged like near like the clubhouse. Staged. And then, so we're there getting ready and we're there at like 8:00 in the morning. And Connor was like surprised by this one dude who was like there to golf. And like, he was like cracking a beer and like heading to the tee by himself. So he's just like a Saturday morning, I'm going to go golfing. And while I'm out there by myself for my 8:15 tee time, I'm just going to be drinking beers the whole time. So like Connor was like, can you believe that? I'm like, I don't know. We're going to be done with our run in about 45 minutes and I'm going to be ready for a beer too. So that's kind of where I'm at on it. It just seems nice, even if it's really early in the morning, I guess. Eric says he wants salt after a race. Yeah. Sean says there's some great breweries in Duluth. Next time I'm going to have to plan my stay so that I actually hang out in Duluth the day, into the evening of the race. Because I didn't get to enjoy like any of that. I would really like to. There was one that I kept driving by. It was like a brewery restaurant. It was like polar bear, some sort of bear theme to it. I don't remember, but I wanted to eat there, and drink a beer there, but I never had the chance to. So maybe next time. And One Horsepower said, ran the Crowder 20K last weekend during the local sauerkraut fest. That sounds amazing. They served a sauerkraut ghost afterwards. Very refreshing. I don't know, man. I'll take your word for it. I feel like that sentence, like those who sent, like they served a sauerkraut ghost afterwards, very refreshing. I feel like that's definitely beer nerd territory. Oh, man. Adam says, yeah, I saw this. Grant Fisher set an American record, or area record, or American record. I can't remember. For the 3,000 in Monaco, 7:28.48. Yeah, it was only third place. I mean, he's been running really well. I don't know. Seeing his race in 10,000, like, I'm a Grant Fisher fan. I like him. I like his style. He's just putting it out there. He's going for it. It's a joy to watch him race. So, all right. Johnson said, which marathon has the best race after party? I don't know. I feel like marathons are hard because a lot of times for marathons, people will have like a lot of family come visit them. And so like, I don't think people really stick around as much for marathons. Like I enjoy the Chicago marathon post beer area. Every time I go, it's never that busy. So it's easy to get beers. They're not super expensive and they're Goose Islands. And I last year I hung out there for like another like 2 hours after the race. That was a lot of fun. Chatted up a lot of people. Um, the Duluth one could be good if it gets warmer, but it was just so cold that day. Um, Indianapolis has the same problem where like it could be real. Oh, Indianapolis did not have post race beers the year I ran it. I don't know if they do that now, but also very chilly afterwards, so you just want to leave. Um, yeah. Um, CIM CIM is real nice too. Very very supportive atmosphere. So Sierra Nevada beers. That was a good one. That was a good one. Now, when you go to when I went to CIM, you get one beer afterwards, and so like you show your bib, and they don't like take down a number or anything. So then they are like then they give you like a wristband, and the wristband means that you got a beer already. So if you're wearing the wristband, then they don't give you any more beers, but you have to get a wristband. Like you have to show your ID to get a wristband. So like it's not like if you just keep cutting it off, you can get more beers. But what I did was, so I went right after the race, got a beer, then went back to my hotel, took a shower, which was real close. If you stay at the is it the Hilton or the Hyatt? I can't remember which one. I think it was the Hyatt where I stayed at. Then I walked back after a shower, and I was wearing different clothes, but I still had my medal on, and they gave me another beer. So I drank. I actually was able to get several that day. That was pretty nice. I like CIM, but again, like marathons, people kind of bolt pretty fast. I like half marathons. 10Ks and 5Ks tend to have really good after parties. Um, I usually like the Chicago half marathon after party. A lot of people leave right away, especially because there's buses at that one. But and you got to catch the bus to get back to like the north side. But it's usually a real warm time of year, and lots of room for people to spread out. So that's a good one. Mm. Oh, Wes A says that bar is called Ursa Minor. There we go. Great beer and pizza. I thought it was a burger place. If I knew it had good pizza, I'll definitely have to try it next time. That's the place in Duluth. Shannon says, when you have trips with the Believe in the Run crew, do you turn it up with them at the after parties? Yeah, yes. Yeah, they're a fun group to hang out with. So we kept it pretty chill. I mean, different people have different, preferences. So like in Eugene, when my interaction with like Thomas and Megan, it was like we kept it pretty chill for the most part. And then the night after the women's marathon, I mean, the women's marathon was the event that I went for, and it was just such a fun day. I had a fun time running with those guys, chasing around the race, and then like the result was amazing. And so like that day, I was like, there's usually like one day where I'm like, this is the day we'll blow it out, and that was the day. That was a fun day. And then the following day, that's when Dina Castor was like, whoa, I've never seen you look like that before. And she didn't see me that evening, but she saw me like the following day. I was like sitting on a couch, and she's like, whoa. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing when a former American record holder is like, you look like you had a fun night. So, but yeah, we have a lot of fun. So it's good. It's good. Yeah. And like, yeah. And speaking of that, Falmouth was a great after party, but I didn't do like, I don't know about the after party for the race itself. I felt like I walked for forever. It was weird, but we were there with ASICS, and ASICS had like rented out like a bar that was like right at the finish line, and so like we just like got into the bar and started hanging out there. So it was not an open to the public party. So that was a little bit different, but I had a little too much fun that day. Matt Legrand says he's 100% a Grant Fisher fanboy, right? He's a We Could Start a Club. I think there are probably many clubs already. And we are probably like a little bit older than the typical demographic of the Grant Fisher fanboy. I mean, he's easy on the eye, so I feel like, he probably has a lot of younger fans. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. Runtime says the Boston Marathon party at Fenway is good. Disney parking lot after race is good, except for $15 beers. Wow, That's a surprise. I mean, hopefully they're tall. But I guess it's at Disney. Boston Marathon Party at Fenway? Really? Oh, I didn't know that they had that. Hopefully I'll get to enjoy that this year. The after party at the RBC Brooklyn half that I went to was pretty good. It was inside this like minor league stadium. It was really, I mean, that was a hot day. That was like a super, super hot day. And so that made it uncomfortable. But they had Brooklyn beers there and like really short lines. So I was like, this is fun. I can hang out here all day. All right, let's get to one more sample for today. I kind of really want to try this Belgian wheat, but I also feel like I should try the IPA. Maybe, all right, I'm going to go with the Slalom King, and I'll save this Belgian wheat for maybe another happy hour. So I bought 6 packs of all these beers, except for this Hoptipus. This one comes in a 4-pack. And I think I'm just going to take them all to Iowa because my 2 of my brothers-in-law are pretty big beer nerds, and my father-in-law loves to try new stuff. So I'll bring it back to them. But so I'll probably end up tasting these before the next time I put them on camera. But yeah, I'm going to try the Slalom King next. Here we go. Here's this one. Cheers. Alcohol content is, where is it? I always feel like the alcohol content in IPA gives you a sense of how bitter it's going to end up being. I know it doesn't work that way, but I don't know. I can't find it right away. We'll just taste it. This is good. I don't know if I've had a rye India Pale Ale. I don't even know what that means. This is tasty. Not as much kind of like oomph to the flavor. Body's not the right word, but like it feels like if someone called this like, it kind of fits in those like all day IPAs or everyday IPAs that people have been making now. Like Founders makes a really good all day IPA. I've been drinking a lot of the Revolution Brewers everyday IPA. It's kind of feels like it's in that category. A little bit more bitterness at the finish than those like IPA lights are. So it kind of fits in the middle. But yeah, that's a good one. I like this one. Tasty. I'm trying to think. I think maybe, I did bring some pretzels down here as a palate cleanser, but I don't think I'm going to eat any. Maybe it's because I've had just this this base like Ballpark Lager first, but it kind of feels like it tastes a little bit more grainy. But it's like a lighter IPA, not super bitter, but still has that kind of signature bitterness to it. Adam says he chooses races for the racing course, not the party and swag. Same for sure. I mean, the exception might be, what is it, that Crescent City Classic is like in the New Orleans like 10K race. That one I might be choosing for the party. I never choose it for the swag. But just like the whole, like just the atmosphere. I mean, I guess not necessarily a party, but more the atmosphere of the race overall. Something that I do sometimes consider. But hopefully I'll do that Crescent City sometime. All right. New Butcher said he just got back from 5x5s in the version 1 Adios Pro. Still a fun shoe. I wish I had held on to mine. I mean, I didn't have space to hold on to it, and I didn't know we were moving at the time, so I don't have it. But that was a fun shoe. That'd be a nice one to be able to pull out every once in a while and be like, let's run around the block real quick, remind myself. But that was a good one. And now that we're talking about running shoes again, I did run in the New Balance SC Trainer. A video about it, not about the shoe, but like I told you guys, I'll do like a New York Marathon kind of unboxing thing. That video will probably come out tomorrow. But I ran in the shoe today just so I have a little bit of footage of it to put in the video, sprinkle in there. And it's not what I thought from what other people were saying. A lot of people that I talked to were like, this is a shoe that looks really tall, but isn't as squishy as a shoe that tall should be. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And then my concern was it would be really firm. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be like a New Balance version of the Prime X. And it's not really that either. But it did really well out there today. I put it through like my shoe test. I guess I'm going to start calling it. Some marathon pace miles, some threshold miles, some 5K pace, and some strides. So it did much better in all of those than I would expected a shoe that big to do. But it's not like super plush, like a giant like Primex shoe. It's a little bit different. It kind of just feels like if you took the RC Elite and doubled the foam. Maybe not doubled, and I just added a bunch more foam to it. So like a little bit more chill. It's a touch firmer than I remember the RC Elite foam being too. But that's what I was running in today. And that video will probably come out sometime. I'll probably do one more run in it. The one where I could get just like a long, steady marathon effort in it. I'll probably do that. Probably come out like later next week, maybe. So that's kind of the plan, I think. Brandon Tice wants to know, is there be more winter apparel reviews this fall and winter? I don't know. I think I might need to the hard thing is that like it stays warm here in the Midwest. So like I get to it late. But maybe I can figure out a way to, like, for me to really do that, I need to like go somewhere cold, I think. Because like I don't want to do a fall apparel review when it's still summer temperatures, you know? So like I got to start reaching. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll start reaching out to some brands, see if they can send me some stuff early. So that way I could do some testing and put out a big kind of like mega video of stuff I like. I don't know. Those videos do well. They tend to do really well, but they're really tedious to make. They're not my favorite. So we'll see. But I know how helpful that they can be. And I watch other people's. So it's just like, I think I just need to not be lazy about it. All right, let me keep scrolling down to the bottom. Adam says he wants to try the SC Pacer and the Elite. I'm very much looking forward to the Elite. I'm hoping that I get to race New York Marathon in them, but I don't know what the release date is on them. And I was just thinking the other day, I was talking with Connor about it. He doesn't know when they're coming out. And he's like, and have you even seen them? And I'm like, I thought I saw them at TRE. He's like, did you? And I'm like, I don't remember now. So like, I don't know if they're delayed or if they're just very good at preventing leaks on that shoe or what, but I do really want to try that one. I'll have to go back and look at my TRE footage to see if I even saw it there. I don't remember now anymore. But I'm very curious about it. And the Pacer, I'm not sure. I was looking the other day at picking up some Alpha Flies. And I know that they restocked the Proto colorway, and I was thinking, oh, if I can get that, let me get that. But I think I waited too long because it's not on the website anymore. I can't find it. But it kept showing me some Streak Flies. And I'm like, do I need that shoe? I don't think I need that shoe. I don't think I need that SC Pacer. I guess right now I am doing a lot of running that would actually use those pretty well. But I'm only got like 3 more weeks of 5K training left, so I don't know. Midlife Runner wants to know is, are you going to try to PR at CIM this year? I don't know about PR, but I'm going to train. That's the race that I'm training for. So I have 3 marathons in 3 months this coming up later this year. So the first 2 will be for fun, and then the third one will be CIM, and that's the one that I'm going to be really going for. The tricky part being like, how do you add in? Basically, I'm starting the marathon block with Chicago, and then there'll be another marathon in there, and then a third marathon. So it's like it's a little bit unusual, but we'll figure it out. So that's the one that I'll be going for. I think the CIM course really suits me well. I having run it last year, I know it's not as downhill of a course as everyone kind of like makes it out to be. I like to think of it as like a rolling hill that gets flat at the end, a rolling course that gets flat at the end. So yeah, but I like it. I think it's good for me. So I think that'll be the one where we go for it. Eric says he thinks the SC Elite date was October. I mean, if it's not by November, then it's a real shame, right? Then they might as well wait till next year and release it like before Boston. But that's also a time where a lot of the shoe companies don't like to release their racing shoes before Boston. Even, and it's bizarre to me, it's bonkers to me, that the Adios Pro doesn't come out like March every year, like a month before Boston. Why not? I guess it comes out like a month before Berlin. Okay, that makes sense. The big World Marathon major for Adidas being in Germany. Okay, that's the one that you prioritize. But like, I don't know. I feel like there should be like a release of something by Adidas in March, but they never do. But like, yeah, if it doesn't come out before New York Marathon, because New Balance has London and New York. So I mean, like, ideally, it would be coming out now so that they could get people in London wearing it and then people in New York wearing it, you know? Because then you get all the people in London wearing it for a London Marathon. And then by that time, it's been out for like a month. And then you can have a New York edition. I don't know. No one puts me in charge of these things. I don't want to be in charge of these things, but I'm just saying. Yeah, One Horsepower says, if Connor at Running Warehouse doesn't know, then neither does New Balance. I don't think he said he didn't know. I don't think he recalled at the time. But I mean, also he's like an encyclopedia. But so I think you're kind of right. And I don't know if 1 HP is 1 horsepower, but that's how I've been reading it as far as your username goes. So hopefully you're okay with that. And Terry wants to know whatever happened to the Puma Fast R. I don't know. And none of the Puma Elite Marathoners are racing in the Fast R. I thought I saw Molly Seidel race a shorter race in the Fast R. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But yeah, I don't think I've seen any of the, like, Rory Linkletter and Eugene wore Nitro Elites as far as I could tell. I didn't ask them, but they look like Nitro Elites. And I feel like Sarah Vaughn, Dakota Lindworm, Annie Frisbee. I'm pretty sure Molly Seidel wore the Nitro Elites in Tokyo. Like, I feel like they're all wearing the Nitro Elites. No one's wearing the Fast R. So it makes me wonder if that is a half marathon or even a 10K shoe, with just the way that it's built and not necessarily the marathon shoe that they kind of originally thought or hoped it would be. At least I think that's what they were hoping it would be. So yeah, I mean, I periodically, Puma is so hard to get stuff from. And so, like, they've conditioned me to just stop looking. But every once in a while I would check to see, is there any in stock? And, like, I have just stopped looking for the Fast R. Midlife Runner says, I'm doing a Run Like Heller weekly vlog on my road to Chicago Marathon. Have you ever done that or considered doing those types of videos? The only time I do like a week-long video is like what I eat in a week. So I've done that like 2 or 3 times, and I've done like how much coffee I drink in a week. And it's sad because I drink Keurig K-Cups. And so like I just have all the pods. And that's a very disappointing video to make. But yeah, I've not really done it with training. I know Andy does it frequently. That's like his main video that he makes, is like going through the training week. What's his name from Sweat Elite? He's been doing it as well. Oh man, I lost the main camera. Some days it makes it the whole time, and some days it doesn't. All right, we're going back to the FaceTime. Here we go. FaceTime camera. All right, there we go. But yeah, so yeah, I've not really done many of those types of videos just because I have more footage. I think like that's a really great one if you are like lighter on footage. So that way, like if you just have like 1 or 2 clips a week or per run, then it's okay. But since I tend to have a lot, I don't really do that as much. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Lots of people are doing it very well. But it has not been my style. Mark Peterson says, are you likely to get the new Pegasus Turbo Nature when it comes out? Not likely at all. I'm not a huge fan of the ZoomX, the Nature stuff, where they like chip it up and like compress it. just because of how much people seem to dislike the Alpha Fly nature. So if they make a new Peg Turbo that's not like that, I'll certainly try it. Peg Turbo is my favorite shoe, one of my favorite shoes. I'd say like my pantheon of like Nike shoes that I love is like Peg, like maybe like I have very sentimental attachment to the Peg 32 Shield, but like probably like the Peg 36, Epic React 1, and like Peg Turbo 2. Like those are fantastic shoes. Yeah, but like I love the Peg Turbo, but I'm gonna pass if it's that like recycled or upcycled or whatever you want to call it, that ZoomX stuff. And Martha says, I agree. It's annoying that so many shoe releases come too late to test for Boston. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I feel like it would be a great spot for a brand that's looking to make a little bit more of a splash, say like Puma, like we've been talking about, to do their big release early in the year and I know that like they tend to like make shoe announcements in those quieter times. But like if they actually dropped it, then I think they'd have a better chance of selling more. Ontiretsi Magome says, Kofuzi, what is your opinion of the New Balance RC version 1? They're available in South Africa for cheap. I'm tempted to buy. I love that shoe for short races. I don't think that there was enough stack height in it to make it a marathon racer for me. I did a 5K time trial, and I think I did an 8K time trial in those. Great for that distance. I'm not sure I even like them for like marathon workouts, like threshold mile repeats. It's just a very thin stack height shoe. Maybe I could race a half marathon in them, but I definitely wouldn't want to race a marathon in them. I love the outsole. It had that like studded outsole pattern. Super fun, super grippy. But apparently it was way too expensive and tedious to put into production more than just that 1 year. So that was the only year that we ever saw it. Upper was really comfortable, more comfortable than most racing uppers tend to be. So overall a good shoe, but for me it was more of a training shoe than it was a race shoe. Jonathan Crossley wants to know, Ko, now that you have more space in the basement, are you going to be adding other equipment for cross-training, like a bike trainer, Concept 2 rower, or erg, etc.? I would like to be able to get a smart trainer for the bike, so a bike trainer. Probably not anything other than that, just so I don't like go overboard. I do really like running, so I don't know. If anything, it would be like getting like a Wahoo, like what do they call them? They're not tickers. No, they're not tickers. But you know what I'm talking. You guys know what I'm talking about. The smart trainer, so I can actually get on Zwift. I would love to be able to do that all winter long. And then other than that, I might get like either like probably just some weights. I do have bands. I just don't really know how to use them. So something like that to do for my cross training would be in that kind of category. Speaking of Sarah Vaughn, Adam is going to be racing Sarah Vaughn Saturday night. He says, well, I'm racing him out early evening and then we'll cheer her on later. I think it'd be pretty great if you were going head to head. Does she show up a lot of the local races like that frequently? Awesome. Oh, 1 horsepower says Matt Fox, the Sweat Elite guy. Yeah, Matt Fox. I just watched his. He just did a video yesterday, or I saw his video yesterday. Talking about his training for. I think he's getting ready for Berlin. Is that right? He's trying to break 2:20. Pretty fast guy. He says that series has been really good. I agree. It's been enjoyable. The way he does it, though, sometimes his weekly recap can get a little bit feel very like business-like he's just going through an agenda. But I feel like with as much footage as he tends to have, I guess he doesn't always have a lot of footage of himself. He has a lot of footage of other runners. But I wish that there were more kind of B-roll to go with a lot of that stuff. But, you know. Calvin thinks that it seems like logistics disruptions are still messing up launches. Considering brands work on shoes years out, they're probably still trapped in their pre-COVID scheduling of production and development. No one ever really talks to me about that kind of stuff. It's always in the category of, well, everyone's kind of affected. So I think to an extent that's true. I think probably some brands more than others. But I think people are still having a lot of difficulty in that category, and figuring out how to launch stuff. I think that's why the Nova Blast still isn't out yet, because they just weren't going to be able to get it. So I don't think that I think in 2022 it's not because they can't get the Zoom X right. It's not like early days of the 4%. So I don't think that's the reason. I think it's that they just can't get enough of them or can't get them off a boat and into retailers. Oh, the kicker. That's what it is. Who said that? New Betcha. Yeah, thanks. Jonathan Crossley also. And Adam, everyone knew it, but it was at the tip of my tongue, but I could see it. But I knew it wasn't the ticker, but I kept wanting to call it the ticker. But you guys got me. Jonathan says that his garage setup here is a bunch of kettlebells, a pull-up bar, an ab wheel, push-up handles, and a Concept 2 rowers. Do you guys like the push-up handles? Do I need that? I like the idea of it. And Adam says for that race, she's both racing and sponsoring her real estate company. That's cool. I feel like, I'm not in the market for a home in the Boulder area, nor could I afford a home in the Boulder area, I don't think. But I do feel like if I were to buy a home in the Boulder area, I'd be like, can I have Sarah Vaughn as my real estate agent, please? Or if I were buying a home in Delmarva, then I would definitely be like, can Kira D'Amato be my real estate agent, please? Or if you're in Flagstaff, Diane Nakuri is a real estate agent out there. She just got her license. So, some options for you guys. I'm trying to think, are there any other... There are other realtor runners out there, pro realtor runners out there. Who am I missing? Should that be a YouTube video? Top 5 running realtors? I don't know if I can name 5, but I'm sure there are way more than 5. Ralph Schuster says, how long can you store a pair of Alpha Fly version 1? They're at a good price at the moment, and I'm thinking about getting them for a half marathon next March. Yeah, for sure. That for sure. I think ultimately it depends on I think you got to think of them like cigars or wine to an extent. It's where was this thing stored? Was this stored at a shoe store, place that has somewhere that's in the back room that's doesn't have windows and stuff, and not going to be subject to wild temperature fluctuations? Or was this in a storage unit in the desert where it just got baked for an entire year? So there's some things to consider. You might not know that information or be privy to it. So that's always the risk of buying, if you're buying dead stock. But I think you can still get new Alpha 5 version 1s. And as long as you're leaving it at room temperature, you can buy one now and use them next March for sure. For sure. I mean, you could probably run a bunch of them too and still make them last. Maybe not till March if you were running them pretty frequently, but yeah, I think you could definitely do that. So, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. I don't know how serious they were about it, but Thomas and Megan were joking that they're driving around trying to find anyone that has stock, like inventory in Alpha Flies, because they don't like the Alpha Fly 2. They prefer the Alpha Fly 1. I don't know that they don't like the Alpha Fly 2. I don't want to put words in their mouth. Have they put out a video about it yet? But they prefer the Alpha Fly 1, and they're looking to stock up. It used to be much more common for people to be like, I like this shoe, I'm going to buy 6 pairs. People don't do that as much anymore, I feel like. Or maybe I've now surrounded myself with other shoe nerds And so none of us do that because we just want to keep buying the new ones. But I feel like that is a shoe that if you like it, go buy a bunch of them. Yeah, 100 says ASICS has always said September 1st for the Oil Blast. That's true. They've always said September. But have they known since the beginning that they weren't going to be able to do a June? Like the Pegasus always comes out in June. Like, did they know that they weren't going to be able to meet June? And they were just like, all right, let's just put it really far out, a date where we know we won't have to move it, September. 3 months from then. So that's kind of like what I'm wondering. I don't know. I've never asked really, but I don't. Dr. Josh says, get a hex bar. I feel like if I buy a hex bar, the next serious runner that video that'll come out will be about runners buying hex bars. I just have a feeling. I just feel like that's the genius of his comedy. I just feel like he's been watching my Instagram and just teasing me. But did you guys see his latest one on recovery stuff? That's funny. I feel good about it because I don't have like half of the things that he makes fun of in that video. So I feel good, but it still feels like he's making fun of me. But I feel like the hex bars I do feel like help with the like work that I do like to do. But I'm wondering, like, do I need to go that far? Because I feel like I could just do variations on like 2-leg deadlifts and single-leg deadlifts that I could still get a lot of the benefit of it. I'm not sure. But I know that I need to do something. Like this winter, I'm going to focus on it. Well, yeah. So I think like after CIM, hopefully my next marathon won't be until Tokyo. So I'll have like 3 months. So that'll be like a good reset time. So we'll see. I'm not sure. Jonathan says he loves the hex bar. You can change the angle of your hand so it's easier on the shoulders. Gives you a bit more range of motion. Plus they were less than $15. Wait, what? Your hex bar was less than $15? No way. Adam says there's a plethora of running and triathlete real estate agents in Colorado. That's not a surprise. I could see that. I could see it basically in all the big triathlon states. California, Florida, Colorado, Texas. Yeah, I could see it. Dr. Josh says, in California, a realtor doesn't have to disclose if someone has died in the house. That's interesting to know. So Bergam says that Matt Yonos is a realtor in Flagstaff. Oh, okay. Because I was just thinking, like, I don't know of any male running realtors. I only know the women. But that's good to know. As a follow-up on the whole, like, did someone die in this house idea? I met the dad of the family that has the 6 kids today. So I'm sitting downstairs in the living room, and I'll finish with this, and then we'll call it a day. So I'm sitting in the living room in the morning. The kids had just woken up. I'm back from my run. I'm about to sit down and start working. And then my older daughter, she's sitting at the dinner table, and she looks out the window. She's like, she calls out to the baby, and she goes, "The kids are out. The neighbor kids are out." And then the baby, who is like exactly like my wife, like just super slow to get moving in the morning, just like loves to ease into the day, basically like likes to lounge around until lunchtime if you let her. And so she like jumps up. She's in her underwear. She's like, "Oh, there's kids." She runs upstairs, gets ready, changes clothes, standing by the door, and is like, "Daddy, take me." And I'm like, I was going to sit down and do some video editing work. And she's like, "The kids are outside." I'm like, okay, fine. So like, I don't know them well enough to just send my daughter like down the street. So I'm like, I feel like I got to go too. So I'm like, I put my slides on and I walk over, and I go over and we ring on the doorbell, and I'm like, "Hi, this is Gracie. I think you guys met my family and my wife yesterday. And they said if the kids are ever out, we could bring Gracie over and maybe the kids could play if they're playing." And he's like, "Oh yeah, sure. I think they're out back somewhere." The doormat at this house, the family that has 6 kids, says, the doormat says, "Just so you know, there's kind of like a lot of kids in here," which I thought was awesome. And I didn't really know what to expect with the dude. And he comes out, and he's about my age, I think. And we're chit chatting, and then like all the kids that were outside playing in the back of the house that we could see from our house, they came out to the front, and they were like, "We're going to the park. There's a new playground in the subdivision that just opened up. Like it just got constructed, and like the kids were gonna go." And the dad's like, "All right, that's a great idea." And so my daughter starts walking with them. I'm like, "All right, well, I guess we're walking to the park." He's like, "Yeah, I got to go pick up my older kid from band practice pretty soon. So I'll see you guys later. It was good to meet you." And I was like, "Oh, he's just sent 4 of his children to play at a playground." Like, and the youngest one was like 2, didn't really walk that good. And he's like, "He just sent them out." I'm like, "We are not in the city anymore." Like I wouldn't even let my kids walk the dog by themselves in Chicago. So it was pretty wild to just be like, "Oh, okay." I'm just trying to figure out how to read the room, you know? I think he saw like my surprise about it. And he goes, "You know, I was like that when when I only had 1 or 2 kids. I have 6, so we just let the older ones take care of the younger ones." And I was like, "Awesome, that's great." But he did come back later after he picked up his kid from band practice, and we did chat for a little while. So that was nice. He's a nice guy. I think we could be friends. So that was really cool. So making friends in the neighborhood, I feel like the dude that has 6 kids, I'm probably gonna get along with that guy pretty good. So. And he's a pretty fit guy. He asked me, he saw my shirt, and he's like, "You run?" I'm like, "A little bit." He's like, "Do you run?" He's like, "In spurts. Usually, like, he's big into some other sports." And he's like, "To get ready for that, then I'll do a lot of better running these times a year." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." So maybe we'll go for a run sometime. So that's it. That's the update on me assimilating into suburban life. So it's been good so far. But I felt like that was another reason why I wanted to go to the liquor store today. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like people don't be like, "Hey, let's go meet at the restaurant." We just invite people over to the backyard. So I feel like we have to be stocked up at all times. So I feel like having some beers, and I bought some wines too. So, never know when people are going to show up. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. That's going to be it for today, guys. Tomorrow I'll have that video, the unboxing of the New Balance stuff that I got from them, to shoes and some other stuff. And then I think we will have another live stream. We're going to go to Iowa tomorrow, but I think we're going to stay here in time for the live stream first, and then we'll go. I think that's the plan. So I think I'll see you guys tomorrow. So until then, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.